So, what if I told you the secret to building real wealth wasn't just about earning more money? What if it's about understanding a few simple, kind of unspoken rules? Well, today, we're going to dive into entrepreneur Raj Shamani's core principles for actually mastering your money in this crazy modern world.
Does this sound familiar to you? You get your paycheck, you feel on top of the world for like a day, and then poof, it's just gone. It's this feeling of being on a financial treadmill, you know? You're running and running, but you're not actually going anywhere. And honestly, it's exhausting.
But according to Shamani, the way out of that trap isn't just to run faster and earn more. It's about playing the game totally differently. So, let's break down his 3 foundational rules for building wealth, not just, spending it. All right, here they are. They sound simple, but stick with me. First, you've got to make your money work for you. Second, you need to learn how to command the market profitably. And third, and this one's a biggie, you have to adopt an asset mindset. So, rule number 1 comes from a classic Hindi saying, "Paisa paisa banata hai," which basically means money makes money. Think about it for a second. If your money is just sitting in a savings account, it's actually losing value every single day because of inflation. To really grow, it needs to be invested. It needs to be put to work making more money all by itself. Now, rule 2 is all about being profitable. Shimani points to the Marwari business community, and they are absolute masters of something called economies of scale. All that means is the more of something you make, the cheaper it is to make each one. This lets you offer a way better price than your competitors, and boom, you win the market. It's not just about working hard, it's about being really smart with how you scale. And rule number 3. This one is a really powerful mindset shift. See, the typical employee mindset asks, how much is my salary? But the asset mindset asks a totally different question. How much value am I creating? When you focus on your impact, you become absolutely indispensable. You stop being just another expense on a spreadsheet, and you become a truly valuable asset. Okay, so we have the rules. They seem logical, right? Almost obvious, even. But that brings us to the real question, the one we all struggle with. If it's really this simple, why are so many of us still trapped in this endless cycle of debt and financial stress? Well, Shimani calls it a fog in our minds, and it makes perfect sense. We're constantly bombarded by these perfectly curated Instagram lives. There's this relentless push to consume, to buy more stuff. And with easy credit and EMIs just a tap away, we end up following this pre-written script for what success is supposed to look like. Get the new iPhone, then the car, then the big trip, without ever stopping to ask if that's what we actually want. And here's a perfect example of this disconnect he talks about. Someone earning just 30,000 rupees a month feels this insane pressure to go out and buy a 1 lakh rupee iPhone on a payment plan. I mean, the math makes absolutely no sense, but that social pressure, it can be completely overwhelming. This analogy just captures the problem perfectly. On social media, we see the highlight reel, the fancy cars, the amazing vacations, the polished, perfect success stories. What it hides are the years of struggle, the sacrifices, the relentless hard work that went on behind the scenes. We're only seeing the final product, not the messy process, and that just sets us all up with totally unrealistic expectations. So, here's the bottom line, the real takeaway. The problem isn't a lack of knowledge. We all know deep down that buying that phone is probably a bad idea. The real enemy here is impulse. It's that gut reaction that's fueled by constantly, and often subconsciously, comparing our own lives to the fake, curated lives we see online. So how do we clear that fog? How do we fight that constant impulse to compare and spend? Well, Shimani's answer is that you have to find an anchor, something that holds you steady when those winds of social pressure start blowing like crazy. So what even is a financial anchor? It's a core belief. It's your personal lie that guides every decision you make. For Shimani, he talks about wearing a tilak on his forehead. It's this simple, physical, constant reminder of his values. It's like a visual cue that stops him from making a bad, impulsive decision that goes against who he wants to be. And what's so fascinating is how these individual anchors can scale up and define the financial philosophy of entire communities. It becomes a kind of shared business DNA, a set of unspoken rules that get passed down from one generation to the next. You can actually see this business DNA in the very words people use. For the Gujarati community, their word for business is tando, and it's all about wealth creation. For Marwaris, it's biapar, a term that's really tied to righteousness and trust. And for Punjabis, you've probably heard of jagad, that incredible spirit of resourcefulness and problem solving. Their core financial values are literally baked right into their language.
So, where does this powerful DNA really come from? Well, it all starts at home. Before we're influenced by anyone else, we're shaped by our first heroes, our parents. The way they talked about money, the habits they had, that becomes our financial blueprint, right? It becomes our default setting for life. Which brings us really to the most important question of all. What are your anchors? What are the deeply rooted beliefs from your family, your culture, your own life experiences that are silently steering your financial ship? Because understanding your own unspoken rules, that's the first and honestly the most powerful step to truly taking control.